As real estate prices rise in Greenville, a new home can feel like it's increasingly out of reach. There are several reasons for the rise in real estate prices in the area. One is simple inflation. That is to say, Greenville may be a victim of its own success. As more foreign direct investment comes into the state, with companies like BMW or Michelin, for instance, moving their plants here, this increases international flows of money into the area. As you inflate the money supply in a financial ecosystem, more dollars compete to buy a finite number of goods. The more money that floods into an area, the more of it you need to buy products, especially if the amount of products hasn't increased along with the money. Money, after all, is just a measurement of productivity. You shouldn't have more money in a system than you have productive capacity. They're supposed to be in balance. So when one is off, it has a corresponding effect on the other. In short, as more money flows in, prices naturally rise. And real estate is no exception to this rule, and some people are being priced out of the market because of this phenomenon, as Nick Sabatine explains.
There are two different markets. There's the first-time homebuyer market, and then there's the empty nester market. And both are very, very much affected by the economy in Greenville, especially the downtown area. I've heard from not our members so much as their customers, their clients, that they would love to live downtown, but the downtown has basically priced them out of the market. Retirees not so much, because they normally have a home to sell. They'll sell their home and they're able to buy cash. The first-time homebuyers who would really love to live downtown, love the city, are finding it difficult to buy anything downtown, so they're ending up renting rather than buying.
Of course, inflation is just one factor. Another factor would be the 2008 financial collapse, which was triggered by subprime mortgages. As a result of the crash, the Fed tightened restrictions on lenders, as Professor Bruce Yandle explains.
After the financial collapse, the meltdown of 2008, severe restrictions were placed on banks and savings and loans, what might be called traditional mortgage lending houses, by the federal government. If you went into one of those banks in 2009 and you were a home builder and you wanted to buy 100 acres of land on the edge of town and build some tract houses, and you mentioned that to the loan officer, they would give you a peppermint and say, "Come back to see us in a few years." Lending practically stopped for local developers. Construction was occurring, however, and buying was occurring by syndicated money lenders who came in from all over the world. And so international money, world dollars, came in looking for bargains, particularly after the 2008 collapse. Housing prices had fallen, and a lot of purchasing took place of single-family residences that were turned into rental property. And so now we are back to the problem that we started with, in a sense. Why is it that single-family residences are relatively more expensive now, seemingly out of reach for someone who has what might be called an average kind of job with average kind of earnings? Well, it just so happens that when you are a home builder or a developer, in a sense, the same amount of fixed effort goes into laying out a community of $300,000 houses as goes into laying out a community for $200,000 houses or $150,000 houses. Your profits are higher on the higher price tract, provided that there are people out there ready to buy. And so there's a natural tendency then for builders and developers to go toward the middle to the higher end of the housing price spectrum when they are designing and building communities. It is just rarely the case that you have active building and construction for low-cost, moderately priced housing.
Greenville's mayor, Knox White, agrees with this assessment, so he's recently proposed an interesting measure designed to combat the inflationary prices of the Greenville housing market, especially in the downtown area. He suggested making lower-priced housing as a method to artificially bring down the prices in the coveted locale. Greenville City Council signed off on it, and CBZ Consulting was brought in to help. $2 million has been appropriated for implementation of the recommendations, which are namely active preservation of existing units, and acquisition of property to produce new affordable housing. An additional $1 million in funds is currently being raised from the private sector and charities and will be added to the $2 million in a housing trust fund.